Serena sat outside the gate and watched the lights of the gingerbread house upstairs. The one that was Christopher's bedroom was her only concern. Now that he was most likely alone, she could send him the message. She'd already retyped it several times, checking to make sure she didn't sound desperate. She reiterated that she could get into trouble if anyone found out they were communicating. She reminded him that if he told Venus or Jake, there'd be repercussions. Serena was depending on his maturity. She read it again, making sure she included the phrase young man at least 3 times, just so he'd know what was expected of him. There were lives at stake. Well, hers anyway. She shouldn't have to tell him this. She'd given birth to Christopher. She'd provided financially for his well-being the first 10 years of his life. She was his mother, and he knew that she loved him, in her own way. The judicial system had no right being involved in the lives of families, human beings. The system had no way of knowing the real relationship between a child and his parent. Judges and courts only saw black and white, no gray area. She'd never tried to harm Christopher, so she didn't understand why she wasn't allowed to contact him. A woman denied her maternal rights were a dime a dozen. At one time, Serena would have heard the same story on the evening news and not looked twice. But now she understood the unfairness of it all. Not being able to control the simplest of things was pure torture. Her finger hovered above the send button. Before she could press it, a knock outside her window sent her heart into overdrive. She pressed her hand to her chest. She lowered her window. "Oh, God! You? What are you doing here?" The man reached inside the open window and unlocked her door. "Get out." "I can't leave my car here." "You should have thought of that before you did something this stupid." Detective Lucas Heights towered over her. She hadn't seen him since he'd sat in court and testified against her 3 years ago. She wondered how he was able to park directly behind her without her noticing. She'd have to be more careful.